Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. It's Friday night. Time to start up with our session. So tonight we're going to be discussing OLC and WeGlide and some other things. Basically, what we're talking about is flight sharing this evening. This is our last session for the 2024 Black Forest Soaring Society Intro to Cross Country series. All of our prior sessions have been concerned with the knowledge that the pilots should have, access to while they're starting to explore our wonderful world of cross country. So this session is about the methods to share your soaring activity, how to collect them and then share them. So remember, this whole thing, all the soaring that we're doing, it's about our joy of flying. So down to the last session, May 3rd. Presentation is available for download or will be available for download after it's done. You can get it on the SSA members website. So here's your instructions on how to get there. As always, we've got a little bit of a tutorial on setting up Navigator as a logger. So you'll probably want to download it to have that information. And when you get onto that website, if you click on the webinar title, you will get the recording. If you click on the thing that says slides, you'll get the slide deck in PDF. I want to be sure that we thank the SSA and in particular Frank Whiteley for being our host and making sure all of this electronic stuff works for us. Wings Proficiency Program. These are Black Forest members who are part of the FAST safety team, and they are the ones that are making this, setting this up so that we can get Wings credit for it. The thing you have to remember for Wings credit, it's only the live seminar that gets credit for Wings. If you watch the video, that doesn't give you credit. And we have Black Forest instructors sitting in the background. So if you've got questions and you type your questions in, they will try to answer them. For those that may have broader application, they'll collect them and we'll have a question and answer session at the end of the slides. And if it's particularly topical for what we're talking about at the moment, one of them will break in and we'll try to answer the question at that point. So while you're reading this, my first soaring instructor was one of these folks. He was pretty metaphysical. He didn't like, he wasn't an engineer. He wasn't science oriented or that kind of thing. And so his big thing is he encouraged me to reach beyond mere flying, to find something beyond that. And the thing that I found is once I got past the initial stages of learning to fly sailplanes, I did find that something that was beyond. And the other one that I found out is that soaring is a wonderful lifetime teacher. There's challenges, and we need the challenges in our life. And then there's experiences we have trying to meet those challenges. And so at that point, we're, we have these experiences. It's experiences remembered, and it's experience that we want to share. And so that's how we get into this. So the so anyway, let's keep going. I'm trying to get rid of that little black box down in the corner, and I'm not being successful. So tonight, OLC and WeGlide. What we're working with here is the focus of our entire series so far has been, getting people the knowledge they need. So tonight we're focusing on the early cross-country pilot. And so we're going to be talking about how to record the flight and how to share the flight on both OLC and WeGlide. Now, really, other than the setup on the flight logger, the details for OLC and WeGlide are going to be kind of glossed over. One of the things that I will do, though, is I'll show you some of the stuff in WeGlide that explains the differences between the membership levels, but this isn't really intended to be a huge tutorial on WeGlide. So as we look at flight loggers, there are two types of flight loggers, two categories. There are loggers that can be used for official purposes, things like badges, diplomas, records, and some contests. And then these loggers have both a hardware and software component, and those requirements are specified by the FAI's International Gliding Commission. You know, we call it the IGC. And then there's all of the other loggers. Now, with one exception, all of the loggers, whether they're the official loggers or the more run-of-the-mill loggers, they all produce a common file format containing the flight trace. And so these files have, in addition to the flight position data, information about the identity of the logger, the status of its security mechanisms, if it's one of the official ones, and then it has the data about the aircraft, the pilot, and the task. So, you know, you can do task declarations into the loggers. The file name contains the flight date, the logger manufacturer, the logger's serial number, and the flight number for that log for the day of the flight. So, you know, there are times you go out, you know, and maybe you launched and you didn't stick, but you then came back down, you launched, and then you managed to stay up. So your logger flight file name will have a 1 and then a 2 on it to say, you know, you had more than one flight today or one logger file for the day. We talked about a lot of the loggers in the first session, the very first Intro to Cross Country session, so you can take a look there. In addition to the dedicated standalone loggers, all of the cockpit computer software that we talked about, you know, for the cockpit computers in session 3, the Intro to Portable Glide Computers, will produce IGC files. And actually, one that we're going to look at tonight is CU Navigator, and I'll show you about that one. So all of the software-based loggers fall into the other loggers category, so they can't be used for badges or records or, you know, official FAI or SSA documentation. Now, for CU Navigator, again, since we are talking to an audience, or, you know, our target audience is the folks that are starting out. So CU Navigator is a smartphone app. It's available on iPhone and Android. It has two versions. One is a free version that has limited capabilities, and I'll be describing that. And then there's a paid version that has full capabilities. Plus, when you pay for it, it also accesses all of the other things in the CU product suite. If you download this deck, for instance, the link up at the top will take you to the CU Navigator webpage, and the Apple Store link and the Google Play link will work in the PDF files. Now, the reason that I'm going down this path is because, one, everyone's a smartphone user. The software is easily available. It's easy to install, to configure. And for the purposes of creating a flight log, it's real easy to use, and it works with OLC and it works with WeGlide, and there's some others out there. I'm just picking on these two because they seem to be the top of the heap right now. So for CU Navigator, so this is the capabilities that the free version has. In that link up at the top, it goes to the free version link to just, you know, that has all of this kind of information. So one of the things we want to be able to do is record an IGC file for your flight. And the nice thing about the Navigator running on your iPhone or your Android is if the screen goes off, it's still running in the background. Unless you explicitly tell Navigator to go to sleep, it's still running and it's still recording. Okay. We're going to talk about setting up Navigator for the next few slides. The other one we talked about last time when we were talking about flight trackers is that it's possible to use your navigator on your smartphone for the OGN so that you could also be using it for a tracker. For that information, you need to go back to session 8, flight tracking, and it's got a setup in there and all of that. So, okay, the free version's limitations. First off, it will always navigate to the takeoff point. Now, in Navigator, you can select a new target from the main menu by tapping anywhere on the map, and a long tap will then select that point, whether it's an airport or a waypoint or whatever. To the system, it will take that point on the map and navigate you to it. Okay, the key is with the free functionality, that does not work. I mean, it works in that it will look like it will navigate to that point, but it will only navigate back to your takeoff location. Okay. The second one is in Navigator, you can bring in stuff from the weather stuff from SkySight or Top Meteo, those kind of things. That weather integration is not supported in the free version. The other one you have to also remember is that to use those weather services, you have to have a subscription to the weather service as well. So there's no free ride on that. And then the last one is you can use Bluetooth to connect CU Navigator to instruments in your aircraft. However, in the free version, that connection is limited to 3 minutes at a time. Okay. So there's nothing that's saying you have to go buy it. You can still use it as a flight computer, and you can use it as a logger, but you're not going to be able to put tasks in and navigate to other places and stuff like that. Okay, so for CU Navigator, this is the new opening screen. They shifted to this about 6 or 8 weeks ago. Best description the description I came up with this screen is your flight management screen, because it's got your glider, your target, your task, devices that you're connected to. This is also the screen that you can go to put the thing to sleep. This icon allows you to select the aircraft that you're going to fly with. Now, this is off of my machine. These are the aircraft that I most commonly fly. Notice I have 2 entries for my Ventus. One is for the 15-meter span configuration, and the other is for the 16.6-meter span configuration. Now, since you probably don't have this list of aircraft in your machine, we're going to click the icon up here, and this is going to take us to the glider database that they have. So what you've got to do there is it'll put a pop-up down here so you can say what kind of aircraft you have. So we're going to go for gliders. And here's your glider database. And at this point, you've got a search bar up here at the top. And our club has a PW5, so let's add a PW5 to this. And so the search bar will work with partial entry. So notice we got a PW5 and a PW6, and we want the PW5. And when you click on it, we're going to have to come back over here and get the information for the aircraft. So we want the IN number, and we'll put in the competition ID. And I recommend that you get the FLARM or the ICOA ID or ICOA ID for your aircraft. And so you take the IN number, go to the FAA's aircraft lookup page, look up your IN number, and on that page it will give you the that address. So, and then you hit add. So now we're back to the flight management page. Notice that we've got the new glider up here at the top. Okay. And so now your glider's configured. And if you're going to use it to navigate, you click on this guy, and that brings up the navigation page. Now, this particular navigation page, if you're wondering what all the green, yellow, orange, and purple are, though that's the SkySight convergence. And so the day that I captured this, it looked like it was a pretty good day out there. Real nice convergence line from Colorado Springs, most of the way up towards Fort Collins, out on the west side. Not bad. To upload your flight. Okay, so you've recorded your flight. You want to upload your flight. So we're going to go down here to the flight management page. And then on the flight management page, we're going to click on the logbook. And so this is going to give us the logbook, all the flights that are logged. And so the top one is your most recent flight. And so click on that. And that'll take you to a description of the flight. And this one was last fall sometime, because I don't have a flight for this year yet in my machine or in my smartphone. And this icon is the upload icon. So when you click whatever service that you've been using, OLC or WeGlide or Skylines or whatever, whatever your most recent one is, it's going to come up with your account information. And you can go over to this icon and change the settings. So there's the 6 places that you could send your flight right now in CU Navigator. So I'm going to stay with OLC, but you notice WeGlide's there too. You click on that, you come back over and you say upload, and you notice that we got a status that the flight was uploaded. You're going to press the claim button, and then it's going to take you, in this case, to the OLC so that you can log in and finish your claim. So that's how you upload. So you could upload OLC or WeGlide from your smartphone with this system. All right, let's go talk about the online contest. So the online contest, it's the largest non-commercial platform for soaring. It's a worldwide soaring contest. The whole purpose behind it was to encourage cross-country soaring, to make it easy to get your flights recorded and get them scored. OLC is a nonprofit organization, and the services for all the participants, all the services for all the participants are free of charge. There are a number of donors and partners for it, and that's what the link there, so you can go take a look and see who all is supporting it. And just about everybody is, all of the manufacturers and stuff are supporting it, but you can go there and take a look. There is also, if you're so interested, you can do donations, and that gives you a little icon on your name on the and your account online that says, you know, you're an individual supporter. Where did the OLC come from? Originally, a gentleman by the name of Rainer Rose was looking at the decrease in soaring, at least in competition, but soaring in Germany. And he was looking for a way to increase that, to improve it. He wanted to simplify the German decentralized competition, which was his goal. And so he founded OLC. He had support from the German aviation magazine. The current format appeared in 2003, and the work for the OLC people that was started by Mr. Rose was recognized in 2010 by the FAI with the award of the Lilienthal Medal, which is probably the highest, I think it's the highest soaring medal awarded for gliding or for soaring. So, and the purpose of it is to reward a particular remarkable performance in gliding or eminent services to the sport of gliding over a long period of time. The competitions, there is worldwide competition, there are national competition, within national, there's regional, and there are club. Various partners will sponsor specific types of competition, and then there are called league competitions. So leagues are club-based So for instance, in the United States, there's a speed league, there's a silver and a gold level, and I'll show some of that to you in a little bit. Worldwide participation in OLC. So in the 2022 season, almost 92,000 flights, almost 27 million kilometers flown, and a little over 10,000 individuals had their flights posted. In 2023, we were down to about 77,000, about 23 million kilometers, and roughly 8,500 competitors. This decrease, going back to COVID, this decrease has been seen during that time period. And I think probably last year was the low point. 2024 so far this year, there have been 20,000 flights. And oh, by the way, the OLC year is from late September to late September. So the folks that have been flying in the Southern Hemisphere have been contributing to the 2024 season. And we're just starting to see that for the Northern Hemisphere. So sitting here the first part of May, we've had roughly 20,000 flights, a little over, right around 6 million kilometers, and 4,000 individual competitors. Our club participation down at our club level, 2022 season, we had 319 flights, 73, almost 73,500 kilometers. 27 folks in our club were flying OLC, put in OLC flights, and 904 hours. In 2023, our 2023 season wasn't really that good. We had a high pressure that set in over our airport and sat there for about 8 weeks, and it pretty well suppressed things unless you could get a few miles out from the airport and get away from that little bubble that was sitting on us. But we had 271 flights, almost 67,000 kilometers. We still had 25 people flying, and we still did 838 hours. In 2024 so far, we've got 77 flights, 14,000 kilometers. We've got 15 folks that have submitted flights, and we've already done 186 hours. So that's a pretty good start for the season. OLC, the whole idea was to make this easy. So there's no declarations, no forms, no term points, no witnesses, no observers recorded. There's no entry fees. Okay. That was the key for OLC. That was the simplification that Mr. Rose made, is he said all of this thing about having official observers and declarations and all of the paperwork was getting in the way of people reporting their flights and making this more visible. And so your flights are recorded automatically. They're scored on a handicap basis. So you've got a GPS flight or position recorder. You submit the flight log to the OLC, and I've shown you how to do that. The key with this is that the flight has to be submitted within 48 hours of landing. So if you landed at 5 o'clock on Sunday night, then by 5 o'clock on Tuesday night, your flight has to have been uploaded for it to be counted. They'll still accept it, but they just won't score it. They won't count it. Scoring is a total distance flown. That's the other one, is it's free distance. And if an analysis of the flight will show an FAI triangle in the flight, then you'll get a bonus for the FAI triangle. And the other one, and I forgot to put it on here, is the greatest distance that you make it out from your home airport is also given as a bonus. It's scored as a bonus. And like I said earlier, the contest year runs from late September to late September. It's something like the first Tuesday after the third, that kind of thing. But basically what it does is it shuts it off the last week, just before the last weekend of September, and starts the next year. In addition to the scoring that I just showed you, there's the destination flight. So this is to encourage beginning cross-country pilots. The idea is you get distance points, and again, for beginning pilots, so there's a home airfield factor, there's a pilot factor based on what kind of distances has this pilot done in the past, and then there's an aircraft factor. There's a category now for OLC rookie. So this is somebody that hasn't completed a 300-kilometer flight. And the way it's scored for the year is it's the best 3 flights that that person puts in. And then there's the OLC speed, which is club-based, and that's a 2.5-hour sprint. Now, the USA Gold League has 18 clubs in it, and the Silver League has 93 clubs in it. It's the fastest 3 cross-country speeds on the OLC sprint task, so it's a 2.5-hour task. And up to 3 different pilots per club. Their points are aggregated into weekly rounds, and then their OLC leagues start the 3rd weekend in April, so they're already running for this year, and they run for 19 rounds. Well, by 19 rounds, it's 19 full weekends. Okay. One of the things that we're working with, like I started with the very first seminar this year, Black Forest has been using the QNEM Proving Ground program that came from the club up in Calgary. And the other thing that we've done is we've also added using destination flights as a method to rank our pilots, that they haven't achieved, gold distance flight. And the idea here is that, somebody that's not flying directly the 3 tasks that we have in the proving grounds, but still can go out and do some flights and get that added, get scored on that so that they are, so that they're part of the overall thing, the overall scoring for our intro cross country. Flight documentation for OLC. So you've got GPS recording files. The acceptable loggers are listed on that OLC page. Basically anything that will record a flight. It doesn't have to be an official recorder, an IGC approved official recorder. If it is, and I'll show you here when we take a look at the OLC display here in a couple of minutes, it's got a little ball, and if it's green, the V for verification ball or validation ball. Green is for an IGC approved recorder. Blue is for all other flight recorders. The league and speed scoring do require the use of an approved IGC flight recorder. Motorized gliders require something that will give an indication that the engine's been running and where it runs, and I'll be able to show you on one of the displays here what that looks like. So now we're going to take a look at the OLC. Let's go. Let's see. We're going to shift and let's go here. Let's see how that came through. Yep, that came through. All right. Let's go to the OLC homepage. So from the homepage, so I click the gliding button up here to get your account. If you don't have one, go to competitor, come down to contest registration. This does not mean you're trying to register a contest. This means you're trying to register yourself to participate in the online soaring competition. Okay. You'll end up with a screen for you to fill in. The little check marks, if it's yellow, that's probably somebody that's flying gliders, and the green, that might be of interest to somebody that's flying a hang glider. Notice there's a tremendous amount of overlap. And then there's the concept. You'll have to look at the rules about what a trusted competitor is. And then you do their little CAPTCHA thing and save your data. And that's how you get your account on the OLC. Okay. So let's go back up here to the. Now, one of the things I showed you how to upload a flight from your recording device. There have been times when the OLC has turned that off for some reason, and then it later got turned back on. So if you cannot load your flight directly from your smartphone, you can come to the OLC website with your browser on your smartphone, come to the Soaring page, click on the glider, and come over here to Claim Flight. Click on Claim Flight, and what you're going to do, for instance, I'm logged in right now. I'm going to go pick one just for, uh, let's do something a little more recent than 2021. Okay, so here's a flight for 2023. I'm not going to upload it because I've already uploaded it and it screws the system doesn't like that if I do that. But that's what you would do on your phone is you would go to the directory that your IGC file's stored in and then come down here and click upload. Once it uploads, then it will give you the opportunity to log in and finish the flight claim. So that's how you claim a flight on OLC using it from the web interface. Okay. Again, the flights must be claimed within 48 hours after landing. Um, so if like I said earlier, if you landed at 5 o'clock on Friday or on Sunday, then you've got till 5 o'clock on Tuesday to get it in. So we've talked about homepage, registration page, and claiming a flight directly on OLC. So coming back to the OLC, okay, that didn't change. Oh, that's why. So we'll come back up here to the Soaring. And what we're going to do now is notice we have worldwide. So if you click on worldwide, you can come down and select the country. So I'm going to go down here to the USA and select all USA. And then I'm going to select the OLC Plus. And so this is for today. And these are flights around the US. And so this is, folks, so the number one right now is Dave Mockler, Daniel Mockler, I'm sorry, Dan Mockler out of Moriarty. 1,000-kilometer flight today. Wow. No, he has 1,000 kilometers for the year. I'm sorry. Anyway. No, he did 1,000 kilometers. All right. He must have done a triangle or something. Now we can go look at these and you can look at it right there. So let's see what Dave did. So yeah, nice long flight out of Moriarty uh, up into southern Colorado and then back down way over here into New Mexico, back up by Santa Fe, and then back down to Moriarty. Wonderful flight. Okay, neat. The other thing that we can do with the grouping is we can come up here, go all USA, and then go to a region. So I'm going to go to region 9 since our club is in region 9. So Dave pops up because New Mexico is in region 9. And so this gives us the ability to drill down. Okay. Now, let's go down a little further. The other thing that you can do is you can look at it from your club page. So we'll take a look at the Black Forest Soaring Society's club page. And you can also look at it from an airport's perspective. And so let's go back over, pick this up. And so we're in North America. We're going to do scoring. And let's go pick up clubs. So what I did is I came under OLC scoring. And you can see there are various ways to score. So the OLC plus, the rookies, the distance, best flight for the day, that kind of thing. So I picked club. And so now we're looking at clubs. And right now in District 9 or Region 9, Black Forest is number 9. So here's all of the members in our club right now. 15, if you look down in the bottom right-hand corner, 15 of our members have put in flights since the end of September, counting for 2024. And now this is all of our members. So the interesting thing, and I'll point this out right now, is I'm going to take this over to notice that Colin Mead right here is our number 2 guy so far with number of points. These are all organized by overall points right now. So right now in our club, Biff Huss is our number 1, Colin Mead is number 2, and Dave Leonard's number 3, Mitch Hudson is number 4, and John Gillis is number 5. Now we're going to switch this over and go look at the airfield. And we'll pick up Kelly. And notice that we've got Biff showing up and John showing up and Dave showing up. But there's an interesting thing that happened here, and that is Colin and Mitch aren't showing up because their flights were made at Seminole and Perry for the contest down at Seminole and at Perry, South Carolina. So Seminole down in Florida and Perry in South Carolina. And so their flights do not count against Kelly, but they do count for Black Forest because they're members of Black Forest and they're registered to Black Forest on the OLC. So this one would be anybody that launched from Kelly. So if somebody came and visited with us, like somebody came up from Albuquerque Soaring and flew with us, he wouldn't show up on our club listing, but he would show up on our airport listing. So just a number of different ways to take a look at the information. So now I'm going to take you back to the screen and we're going to go through the screen in a little more detail, not terrifically, but so that you get an understanding of how it worked. And so let's pick up Dave's flight. Yeah, that looks like a good one. Now, notice on the screen, we get a map. Airspace is turned on and stuff like that. I'm going to turn some layers off over here and I'll show you this stuff in a minute, how to do it. But so we've got a map. We've got airspace. We've got some waypoints that are out there. I'm going to enlarge the flight a little bit. So that should make it a little easier to see. We get a bar graph across the bottom. If you grab the bar graph and drag it across, you can see the terrain, the green at the bottom. The blue line is his flight. You can see the glider moving up along the flight and coming back down and back over to the home airport. Okay. There are statistics that are displayed right here. Any location where the aircraft is, then it's got the altitude, the current vario reading, the ground speed, AGL, and what time. Okay. In the what we see here now, I'm going to bring in some the scoring. So his distance flight. Notice we picked up some red lines now. These red lines are where he did a major turn point change. So you can see he's turning right here. Up here, he turned up at the end. Notice it didn't pick up the one right here in the middle. It just said, oh, okay, that wasn't a major change. All the way up, he picked it up on the way going down, back here, and then back to land. So those are the segments that he would be timed over for, these are where he made major changes. Now, if there's an FAI triangle, notice that the purple popped up. That's his FAI triangle. And then his overall distance to his furthest point out from the airport, and you can see that orange line that just popped on and off and back on, okay? So over here in this box, these boxes, so he flew 441 kilometers or 442 kilometers on his distance flight, but he's flying a JS3. I'm kind of moving my cursor over the JS3 up here. And so it's got a absolute monster of a handicap, 122. So he flew 144 kilometers, but for scoring purposes, since it's all handicapped, his handicap distance was 361 kilometers. His FAI triangle was 148 kilometers, but the scoring for that is 36 points. And then he had 174 kilometers, which came out to 42.8 kilometers. And these two numbers are not just the handicap applied to it, it's a handicap plus another factor, so that the primary thing that's being scored is the distance. But if you had an FAI triangle and if you had a nice long distance out, you got some credit for that as well. So he got a total of 441.19 points for the day. You can see he's flying an 18-meter class. Here's his scoring start, scoring end, his handicap, and the club that he flies with. Remember I said we have these balls here that tell us about the status. So the green ball with the V, that's his recorder. So he has an approved recorder in his plane. If he didn't, that would be a blue with a V. And then the S over here, the green means that the flight validated correctly. Chances are if the flight didn't validate, then that would be red. And if it was red, most common one that I've seen is motor glider that used a flight recorder that didn't record the engine. And so therefore the scoring system knows it's a motor glider and has no engine information. You can add comments to the flight. And down here in meeting points, okay, someone else was flying. Mia Gonzalez was flying dual in a duo discus with Biff Huss. And so she was flying, and there is, notice down here at the bottom, all of a sudden purple came in. So that's her flight. And so what this says is that for 5 minutes and 34 seconds of the flight, Dave and Mia were flying close enough together. Notice that Mia's barograph trace, the purple line, has been added to the barograph down here. And as we go across, you can see when we get right about over here, where Dave's plane is right next to hers, that's the area in which they got about the 5 minutes of time that they were flying together. Whether they were in the same thermal or not, this doesn't have a good enough resolution to tell us that. But it's kind of interesting because you can see, where you have 3 or 4 people that you pick up with. The legs for the flight. So for instance, leg 3, let me turn Mia's off so that we just get Dave's data. So for leg 3 of the flight, he flew 166 kilometers distance. He spent 21% of his time circling. He had 4 thermals, and his average glide ratio through that 166 kilometers was 66, which is well above what a JS3 will do, which means he was cruising in rising air and he was flying at 145 kilometers an hour. Okay. You can see down here on leg 5, he had 118 kilometers, no thermals. He was showing 79 glide ratio. So at that point, he was flying in rising air the whole time and he was running 167 kilometers. So you can get this kind of data about your flight. Alrighty. Fun, fun, fun. So we're, oh, where is it? There it is. No, I lost the screen. So, okay. So that's OLC. Let's look at WeGlide. Okay, WeGlide. What is WeGlide? WeGlide is an online platform to share and analyze flights. It provides the capability for pre-flight planning and post-flight analysis. How's it different from OLC? OLC scores based on free distance. There's no task declaration prior to flight. WeGlide adds the concept of defined tasks, and then those tasks can be specific to a given day, or like if it's a club level and you put out a club task or a week-long contest. So you could have season-long tasks, day-long tasks, or, however. It does provide some additional statistics to analyze the flight. And then the other one that it can do is it can understand waypoint collections, which OLC really doesn't pay that much of attention to. In the product suite, right now there seems to be three partitions in the WeGlide world. You have WeGlide, which is web-based, and that'll be what we're seeing tonight. And I keep saying web-based because it will show up, it will work on your browser on your phone or the browser on your tablet as well as the PC at home. There is WeGlide Live, which is a web-based tracker like Glide and Seek or Glide Tracker or Glide Radar and all of that stuff. So it has that capability as well. And then we have the WeGlide Copilot, which is the new cockpit assistant. We had questions last month asking about, or last time asking about it. Cockpit does not replace Navigator or any of your in-cockpit computers. It is an additional tool. It's to help you. It's almost like working towards team flying, so it helps you where the other people are doing thermals and convergence lines and allows you to put weather and stuff like that. So it ends up being a separate display in your cockpit. So the web-based application, it's got planning, so it understands waypoints, tasks. You can integrate forecast data and weather imagery. You can do analysis, so you can review the flight. With the higher level membership, you can get coaching from a McCready perspective. You can do comparisons to others on the same day, and you can have weather history integration, and I will show you that. The thing that we're really going to focus on, though, is the sharing portion. The sharing portion is completely free. You don't have to have a membership on WeGlide to or you can have a membership, but you don't have to have a paid membership on WeGlide to be able to upload flights, with pictures and commentary. You can download flights from there, so you can do different analysis at home on other software. And then the real thing that WeGlide brought, in addition to tasking, is the social media interaction. So you can have friends, you can get notification when somebody flies, you can make comments about their flights, they can make comments about your flights. So that's the one of the things. So now we're going to go take a look at the WeGlide web page. So this is the login page. We're in on my account. So we've already showed you the upload from loading from Navigator, but to upload a flight from the web page, it's front and center right up here. So you log in, you've got my profile, and the next thing below it is upload a flight. All you do is click right here, set your flight, put the flight in, and notice that it put a little error up here in the top corner. It says the flight's already been uploaded. So, okay, that's how easy it is to upload your flight to WeGlide. Okay, so the biggest thing is registering to have an account. Okay, so the free distance, we did a flight last summer, and when we did that flight, it was an absolute ball to do. And yeah, yeah. Oops, just a second. Get this back up. We did a flight last summer, so we're going to come down here to flights. And so this is a list of all the flights uh, that are out there on WeGlide. Uh, and you come up here to this top bar, and I'm going to select my glider. And then I'm going to come down to a nice flight that I did last summer. And this flight was out of Moriarty. And the course was Moriarty, east to Santa Rosa, north to Las Vegas, New Mexico, and back to Moriarty. So roughly a 300K triangle. The barogram, you get the same barogram down here at the bottom that we had. So you can see my altitude and you can see the ground level. So notice I never really got low while I was out flying. You also have the statistics across this top portion of the barogram that wherever the aircraft is out there, the altitude, MSL, AGL, climb or sink, how fast you're flying, and what time. Okay. We have a scoring box over here just under my name. So I got 331 points for 195 miles. That's in statute miles, and the speed is in miles per hour. We've got the same kind of status buttons. Notice that one is yellow or orange and the other is green. If you click the little down arrow, it will say that the flight was claimed too late to fix for any contest. That's why that one is orange, but that my IGC file was valid. So I have it out there. Let's go back. Okay, what did I do? Let's go back up here and get back there. So I have the information up there. Plus it's got my start time, my takeoff time, and my landing time, and the time that I was in flight. I've got a description of my aircraft. So it's an ASH-26E, my N number, my contest number, my handicap number, my index, the weight that I was flying at, wing area, and wing loading. And the so we've got all of that. And we've got basic statistics. So here's more details and speeds. The points are calculated based on kilometers. The software does all of it. Down here you can see the calculation. So I flew 195 miles, which is about 315 kilometers. So I got 264 kilometers for my distance. And then since there is a triangle in there, I get triangle points. And so the sum of these two numbers right here is the 331, and that's where the scoring comes. That's how the scoring comes from. Okay. And notice the 2 hours and 49 minutes. So, you know, I was over 100 kilometers an hour, which that's been one of my goals, is to get my cross-country speed up. And it's reassuring that I've been able to do that. Now, just like we were able to look at some statistics on OLC, we can look at some statistics here. So I can go down to a leg in the flight. So my first leg was 70 miles long. That was from Moriarty to Santa Rosa. Notice that it highlighted down here in the barogram so that you can see the box. And my average was 72 miles an hour. And I had 5 thermals in there. I had one attempt. In other words, it's saying I made a turn but didn't stay for the thermal. I was thermaling, uh, and my radius was out there, 500 feet, almost 600 feet. For my glide, my glide speed was 101 knots. I was getting 61 glide ratio, which means, I was flying in lift. And so that's kind of neat. Now, one of the things that you can do is I can bring in the weather for that day. Notice that I've got the cloud field. This cloud field responds to time. So you'll watch it mature. And if you watch my flight, you notice what I discovered is if I could stay on the edge of the clouds, I could run really nice and fast. Okay. And then notice after I left up there that things got kind of blue. The reason for the dog leg is that very often coming down from the north, coming back into Moriarty, that big area right there in the middle is often kind of flat. And so there were clouds, and I came along those clouds and was happy. And then I had basically a blue glide all the way back. Now, it wasn't too bad because I was, my ground speeds were, in the 90 to 100 knot range coming back in. So that wasn't pretty bad, or that was pretty good. Now, one of the things that you can do, just like we added the wingman in OLC, I can come down here to the wingman box, and a friend of mine and I went down to Moriarty and wanted to do some team flying. And so we did. Notice that we now have 2 traces at the bottom. Red is him, blue is me. For whatever reason, I didn't take off until almost 40 minutes after he did. I had some kind of problem that I had to work on. And so he got a nice head start. Notice he's way out in front of me. I just now took off right there. But once I got on task, notice that I stopped significantly fewer times the thermals. And then as we were going north right here, we chose 2 different paths. Now, all he knows is that I'm in the air. He doesn't know that I'm actually catching up to him. And so we didn't get together until we were at Las Vegas. And then we decided to team fly. And we actually wanted to do this where we were a little bit apart so that we could see how the different air mass was doing and to make sure that it was a comfortable glide home. So we tried, and then we just had a nice run home. Now, one of the things that I'll point out is we were both running up in the 100 knot, 90 to 105, 110 knots coming back. So there wasn't much difference. Even though my glider's a little bit better in overall performance than his is, at the speeds we were flying, we were close enough that it didn't really make any difference. Okay. So we can do that, we can do that kind of analysis real easily with this. So. Alrighty. So. It's always fun trying to get back to the presentation. There we go. Good. Okay. WeGlide paid memberships. Remember I said there's free. You just register, you can load your flights, and then you can, then and you can replay them and that kind of thing. There's a thing called the supporter level, and that gives you access to the Copilot app. You can do things with the flight replay, but it also gives you access to the statistics that I was showing you and the phase analysis that I showed you. If you get premium, there's an analysis tool called the Coach. I didn't go into that, but basically it's analyzing the conditions of the day as it's recorded and then giving you advice based on McCready theory of and general techniques. So for instance, one of the things I do is I stay in the thermal too long, and it said, oh yeah, very often at the thermals are decreasing at the top. You should leave earlier. Okay, yep, I know I do that. Another one it said is you always turn to the right, or you majority of the time you turn to the right. Practice turning both ways. Yep, I'm guilty there. Okay. Or the other one is it will say, okay, probably the one that's most useful is when I find out that I fly too slow. Yeah, and I'm guilty, but it will help you with those kind of things. So what the SSA has done is the SSA has worked with the WeGlide folks. So if we look at the membership subscriptions, sharing is free for uh, everybody. The supporter level, if you're not connected with the SSA, that's $564 a month and it's billed annually. The premium level is 11 something a month billed annually. WeGlide is an SSA membership benefit, so you get the sharing. Okay, that's fine. Supporter is everything that was in sharing plus what they give you for supporter, and that's free as part of your membership. And then the premium membership is $5.50 a month. Okay. And so the other thing that you may also want to work with is that each club or commercial glider operation will receive one premium membership so that the club can get its waypoint lists and can set up local competitions and stuff like that. And so if this were set up on your club computer, at the clubhouse, then you could go in and use the premium, like the Coach and stuff like that, instead of having to do it individually, but if you wanted to be able to do it at home. But that is a membership benefit that's coming from the SSA for us. Okay. We are now down to questions. Brandon, have we got any questions?
Dave, it's Alice. I think I can read the questions that he's got here. So Stefan asks, curious how an FAI triangle is defined and how it differs from classic.
An FAI triangle is for less than 750 kilometers. It's a triangle that each leg is a minimum of 25% of the total distance, and no leg is more than, I think it's 28%. That's defined in the FAI soaring rules. And then at 750, it changes to a different definition. So, but that's how an FAI triangle is defined.
Okay, Dave, sorry, I'm back. I had to walk away for 1 second.
Oh, sure.
Excellent presentation. Thank you. One of the questions is on the very first slide, there was a cockpit view of the instrument panel that had a display in the center at the top of the instrument panel. I think that was electronic vario, but can you fast rewind back to that?
Yeah. Okay. Everybody close your eyes real quickly. Don't realize how many mouse clicks are until you try to go back and find something. Okay, there's just a second. Yeah, I've got this. This over here is a FLARM display, and then this is the cockpit computer display. And then these are just fuses over here. I don't know if that helps.
What type of computer is it, Dave?
That looks like an Android tablet running XC Soar.
Yeah, it does.
I can't tell if there's a name up at the top.
The bottom part of it does look like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's a couple comments. There might be a few more questions. I'll look through it after this, but for task planning, how do you upload a waypoint file into WeGlide?
Okay, first off, you have to have a premium membership. So that would be, you can't upload it unless you have premium membership. And then actually it's an option that's available to you. Just a second, let me see if I can. Alrighty. Put that over there. No. No. I don't remember. The UI on this, the user interface on this needs some work. I mean, it's a small group, only a couple of people, maybe 4 or 5 at the most. And I know that myself and the other person who have the premium membership for our club for using with the cross-country training, um, it was an interesting chase to find out how to do it. And so, but you have to have the premium membership in order to be able to do it.
And there was a comment that there are previous WeGlides webinars that might be able to answer some of these questions.
Yeah, Tony Smoller has done several WeGlide in terms of, like I didn't go through how you register for on the SSA website, but yeah, thanks for mentioning that because there have been several seminars, and they, I believe, are also stored on the SSA webinar site. I know that there was an intention to do so, but I haven't gone and looked.
Okay. Dave, this is one directed directly at you for your 26E Power Glider. Can you use CU Navigator to track your engine monitor?
No.
Okay.
As far as I know, there's, I mean, I'm sure, there's a microphone on the phone, but I haven't found anything in Navigator that would use the phone as a engine noise level.
Perfect. Do you know, there's a few questions here that might be kind of deep in the weeds, but this one I'm not 100% sure of, but can you address setting up local competitions in WeGlide?
No, because we're still fighting that ourselves.
Right.
We've figured out how to declare tasks. We have not figured out how to mark something as a competition yet, so we're still working that one.
Okay.
Now we do use our local waypoint file, so that and all participants can see that, but having it come up and say I'm a competition, and that actually may not be something that it does. It just may have a task list that our members can get to. And so we're still exploring that.
There's 2 other questions, but I think they're going to be best answered on FAQs on either WeGlide or Navigator. software because they're very in the weeds, I think, on setting up multiple turn points. But
Yeah. The other one is I know a lot of people have a WeGlide membership before the SSA added the uh, I'm sorry, added a member benefit. But on the SSA webpage, there's a thing about what you have to do in order to uh, get your membership moved over under the SSA member benefit. But there is something on the SSA webpage for registering on how to do that.
Dave, can you go back through and talk about the things that you have set up in your cockpit when you're going to go do a cross-country flight?
Okay.
And the reason I'm asking this personally because I know we've had this conversation, and I think it's kind of eye-opening to hear all the things that you go through, and that from just a 1,000-foot view up, looking, no pun intended, but looking into
Oh,
your cockpit, what are the things that you use?
okay. I have a Android tablet that I run either Navigator or XC Soar on. And the reason I say I run both, I've been running Navigator as one of the beta testers. And my personal preference, I've run XC Soar since 2013, 2014 timeframe. And so it just seems natural to me. Navigator's a good tool. I like it. There are aspects of it that, for instance, um, with XC Soar, the jet version, I can get SkySight within XC Soar. SkySight is on Navigator as well. The problem with Navigator is that XC Soar or SkySight has to have a in-flight connection. Whereas, for instance, on the OD2, you had SkySight available and you could load it at the clubhouse, get the entire day loaded, and then you didn't have to have a connection in flight, didn't have to have a cell phone connection in flight. So there are things that Navigator doesn't do as well as the OD did, but there are things that Navigator does that are far and away above what Navigator did. Or, I mean, not Navigator, OD did. But my preference is still XC Soar. So my day, I declare a task in the machine every time I take off. Doesn't mean I necessarily fly that task, but I declare a task every day in the machine because that gives me a focus until I get up and I see how the day's progressed, and then I decide whether I'm going to fly that task or not. So for the day, I'm checking the weather. If I can, I download the weather. I also use RASP. We have a club member that keeps a RASP running, and I can download the RASP for the day, and that will come up in XC Soar. And so I've got two different weather things that I can use to bounce between them because the weather models don't always align. And we found out that Mother Nature doesn't have a subscription to our weather models. Either that or she has a subscription to it, and then she looks at it and she says, oh, okay, I'm going to do this and see how they behave. So I do the task, I do the weather. I fly with, like I say, I have the tablet. I have a separate real-time FLARM display, and so I keep the database updated in the FLARM display. I keep the FLARM database updated in the tablet, so that I have contest numbers and that kind of thing. But basically, other than going back and saying, okay, like I start on Monday with the picnic weather for one of the local TV stations, and then I start looking at the weather forecast through SkySight and RASP and US weather, realizing that anything that's more than about 72 hours out is kind of a wish. And then the biggest thing I do as I get towards the weekend or towards the day that I'm going to fly, is I'm not so much looking at absolutes as much as I'm looking at how did the weather forecast change as as we get closer and closer, and it becomes more and more real. all the way up into the day. And so that becomes, and that's what I use to set my task. Usually about Wednesday, I'll set up for our airport, you go west, you go south, you go east. You can go west and then go north in the mountains, but then you're, on the west side of the big Class B space for around Denver. So I set up a east task, a south task, and then a southwest task just to see what I'm going to have, and then I choose from those on the day that I'm going to make the flight, get it all loaded into the cockpit, and that basically is how I work related to the cockpit. I am not afraid to get up there and say, well, okay, this task isn't working, so what am I going to do? And then I select waypoints on the fly. I do like having the computer for what I am flying, because of the information is then tailored to it. So, I just don't fly the task. I put something else in flight if I have to. Is that pretty much what you were looking for?
That was great. Thank you, Dave. I think that's all the questions we had. What a great series of information that you and then also Quay gave. Really, really appreciate it.
Yeah. One thing that we're attempting to do, we've got two folks in our club, myself and Brian Price, who are working with the Proving Grounds and working with WeGlide. And what we're attempting to do for our early cross-country folks is to see how we can integrate WeGlide and the Proving Grounds. And one of the things that we're going to attempt, which may be something other club member or other organizations may be interested in, is we're setting up a series of tasks, kind of mini contests for the year for our members to fly, so that they have like a 6-week period. So they've got 6 weekends that they're going to be able to fly. So nobody should be weathered out or anything like that. And using the we're trying to set up the WeGlide in conjunction with the Proving Grounds as an experiment to see how WeGlide can work with these other tools in helping people be willing to step out and make these flights. And then in the other one is how to do the analysis once they've come back, so that we can help them and debrief them. That's one of the things that we want to do, is to help people and debrief them. So if they've got spots where it got kind of rough and they got a little nervous, maybe we can help them resolve those kinds of issues as well, so that nobody is out there just totally on their own.
That sounds like a great idea. I'm there.
And so that's one of our goals. Let's see if I can. No, I can't do that. All right. Everybody close your eyes for a second. I'm going to go all the way down, because I have one last little slide for you.
It's Dave Raleigh's bank account information.
No.
Oh, all right.
Okay, this is a picture from Nephi. I'll be out at Nephi for the OLC contest. This is my Ventus, and that's another club member's LS6 behind my Ventus. If you're out at Nephi this summer for the OLC, look me up. I'll be more than willing to sit around and BS on any of these topics. Have a good soaring season, everyone.
Thanks, Dave. Great job. Thanks, Brandon and Frank.
Great. Thank you, Dave. Great series. The recording on the slides will be up certainly by tomorrow. So if you are anxious to get them, that's where they'll be up at members.ssa.org. And the video will be on the SSA YouTube channel and the webinars playlist, and also on the main. It'll be embedded in www.ssa.org under webinars. So you all, the great series, Dave. Enjoyed every one of them.
Thank you. Like I said, everybody have a good soaring season. Good night.